Order, order. I will call John Cryer to move the motion and will then call the Minister to respond. I understand there's been an agreement by both honourable members for another honourable member to participate. There will not, however, be an opportunity for the member in charge to wind up, as is the convention for 30 minutes debates. Order, order. John Cryer to move the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Stringer. It's a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship. I beg to move that this House has considered the provision of water safety education in schools. I'd also like to thank Mr. Speaker for choosing this debate. I'm delighted to have secured today's debate on a subject that's of great importance to me as Vice Chair of the All-Party Parliamentary Group for Swimming, and I'm sure it's a matter of interest and concern to members from all sides of the House. I'd also like to briefly thank both Philip Brownlee, Head of Public Affairs at Swim England, what used to be the Amateur Swimming Association in my day, for all his help with securing this debate and the speech, and my colleague, the Honourable Member for Hornsey and Wood Green, the Chair of the All-Party Group. Swimming is a genuine passion of mine and has been for many years. I started to swim at the age of 5 or 6, and I've swum with various swimming clubs such as Leighton ASC, Hornchurch ASC and East Grinstead Tri Club. I want every child to have that kind of opportunity that I and many others had as we were growing up. If we can develop children's physical literacy through good quality, positive experiences at school, then we can set them up for a lifelong love of being active. And not only is swimming obviously a sport, but it's probably the only sport which also might save your life at some point. Figures shared with me by the Royal Life-Saving Society show that the number of child drownings is increasing at an alarming rate. Now, this is not unconnected, in my view, to a net loss of swimming pools in this country of about 400 over the past decade. In 2022, there was a 46% increase in the number of child drownings against the 5-year average, and 2023 data, while it's not officially launched, early indications suggest that child drownings may have increased significantly again in 2023. We'll give way to my honourable friend.
I commend the honourable gentleman for bringing this forward. It's absolutely a critical issue for me and my constituency. There are many young people and children in particular who fall fatalities to swimming. The figures that he referred to, 35 accidental child fatalities were reported. That's a classroom full of children. When you think about it, that gives you an idea of the magnitude of the issue. Does the honourable member agree that consideration could and should be given to a United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland awareness campaign, along with the education systems in the devolved nations, to ensure that children have an understanding of the very basic water safety and how to be safe and how to keep safe in the future?
Yeah, I fully agree with my honourable friend. I mean, I'm not going to be commenting on the devolved nations, but he speaks very eloquently. When adjusted for social, as I was saying before, when adjusted for socioeconomic status and ethnicity, there are also worrying elements in the data of child mortalities. The National Child Mortality Database reported that the risk of drowning amongst children from poorer backgrounds was twice as high as amongst those from better off backgrounds. And the risk of drowning was 3.5 times higher for children from black and ethnic minority backgrounds. Now, for me, that's a particular worry because I represent one of the most diverse constituencies in the country. This debate, therefore, is very timely, particularly when you consider that we're fast approaching the summer. And in 2024, this year, marks the 30th anniversary of swimming being on the national curriculum. So for all these reasons, it's important that we have this debate today and that the importance of swimming and water safety is highlighted in this place. Sport England figures from the latest Active Life Children survey show that 71% of children in school year 7 are able to swim 25 metres. This represents a fall of 6.3% compared to 5 years ago. Worryingly, pupils are also being offered fewer swimming lessons at school, and this is often raised with me. In fact, this is raised with me just about every visit to a school I make in my constituency. Swim England have also seen concerning examples where parents are being requested to pay for their children's school swimming lessons, which risks exacerbating the existing inequalities. And again, I represent some of the poorest wards in London, so that's very relevant to my daily work. I would pay tribute to the many very hard-working teachers across Leighton and Wanstead and across the country, and recognise the fact that teaching school swimming and water safety presents a number of serious challenges, particularly under current circumstances. But on top of that, school staff are often underqualified, underprepared and inexperienced to deliver comprehensive PE. That's not a criticism of the teachers, but a criticism of the lack of resources. More qualified and prepared school staff would enable smaller ratios and higher quality teaching to make the most of limited learning time for pupils. I know that organisations such as Swim England have often produced free resources such as the School Swimming and Water Safety Charter to try and help support teachers, as well as running courses like the National Curriculum Training Programme for primary school teachers. But I think the Department for Education and Ofsted have to date been, shall we say, a bit too reluctant to adequately monitor and enforce the curriculum requirements. An example of this would be the fact that despite being a requirement of receiving PE premium funding for schools to publish their swimming and water safety attainment levels, evidence suggests that many schools are not doing so. A specific question that I'd like to put is, could the Minister share the number of schools the Department for Education has taken action against for not meeting the requirements to publish this data since the requirement was introduced? One concern is that this is linked to the receipt of PE premium funding, which itself is only guaranteed until the end of 24-25, the academic year 24-25. Could the Minister confirm that the requirement to provide this data directly to the Department will remain, regardless of what might happen to PE premium funding? The PE premium funding has helped schools offer top-up lessons, swimming lessons, for example, but I can't help feeling that actually just providing schools with enough core funding to deliver appropriate school swimming lessons is a better way to proceed. The Minister might or might not be aware that, for example, in Estonia, pupils receive 40 hours of school swimming lessons paid for by the government. An Ofsted report into PE in 2023 described swimming and water safety attainment as, quote, mixed, reported that evaluation of the schools of the swimming and water safety element of the curriculum was limited, and recommended primary schools should, quote, make sure that their curriculum matches the breadth and ambition of the national curriculum for all pupils and should include carefully sequenced and taught swimming and water safety lessons. I'd like to see the department be much more active when it comes to monitoring and enforcing the curriculum requirements, and this is something the members of the Swim Alliance have raised with me. The Swim Alliance, by the way, is chaired by Debbie Kay of the Chief Culture and Leisure Officers Association, and is a grouping of organisations from across the sector, including pool operators and groups like the Black Swimming Association, Unity Swimming and Swim England. One move to help ensure PE, and within that swimming, proposed by organisations like the Youth Sport Trust, Association of PE, Swim England and others, is to make PE a core subject. And I wondered if the Minister might give consideration to helping PE obtain the profile and support within schools that it merits. We've seen the growth, a further point is that we've seen a growth in the number of pop-up pools, which is broadly to be welcomed. The problem is that the small size and shallow depth of the pools mean that it's impossible to meet curriculum requirements, and concerns have been raised by local authorities about the impact increased use of pop-up pools could have on existing community facilities. Finally, and I want to give my honourable friend the time to speak and the Minister to respond. We can't discuss water safety without discussing access to pools for pupils to learn in. Part of my constituency, 3 wards, is covered by the London Borough of Redbridge. Redbridge is the 3rd most deprived local authority in the country when it comes to available water space, according to Swim England. It's therefore perhaps unsurprising that across all ages, just 20% of children in Redbridge can swim 25 metres, compared with, for example, 75% of all ages in Wandsworth. We've got to ensure that we have the pools we need for the future if we're to improve water safety rates. So if I could summarise my views very briefly, schools need to be adequately resourced and to be able to provide swimming and water safety opportunities in the future. School leadership groups need to prioritise swimming and water safety within their schools. School swimming and water safety needs more hands-on monitoring and enforcement from the DFE and Ofsted. As a country, we need, and this is desperate, we need to invest in community pools we need for the future, both with capital funding and with revenue funding, so swimming is an affordable activity. And if we do all that, we can start to make the sort of progress that I'm sure we all want to see across the House. And finally, I just want to mention that I mentioned that my 3 wards in Redbridge. 6 of my wards are in the London Borough of Waltham Forest. And there we've seen enormous core funding cuts. And as I said at the beginning of this speech, just about every school I visit, both in Waltham Forest and Redbridge, raised the difficulty of getting access to pool time, to swimming time. I think with that, I'd better stop speaking to give others a chance to respond. Thank you.
The question is that this House has considered the provision of water safety education in schools. Catherine West.
Thank you very much, Mr Stringer, and it's a real pleasure to serve under your chairmanship as ever. And I thank the Minister for also allowing a little bit more time for responding to some of the concerns which we've been raising since 2015 when the all-party group first began. And the member for Leighton and Wanstead is a fantastic swimmer, unlike the member for Hornsey and Wood Green, who poodles up and down the Hampstead Heath ponds on warm days. However, the important thing is access and equality of provision for children, because schools, as the Minister is aware, should be the great equaliser. And regardless of parental ability to swim, the important thing is that every child learns to swim. And unfortunately, we're not seeing much consistency across the piece. We know that almost every child who goes to school, it being a national curriculum requirement for them to be able to swim 25 metres by the end of Year 6, perform a range of strokes, and to be able to safe self-rescue by the time they leave primary school. Of course, different schools have different priorities, but surely, now that this is an Ofsted priority, it should really be much more uniform across the piece. It's particularly worrying, as the member for Leighton and Wanstead has said, that we're going backwards. Since the pandemic, we've seen a number of swimming pools close, and we've also seen the numbers of children who are confident swimmers decline. Now, why is it that we're seeing such inequality in attainment? Now, we know, for example, that Sport England's Active Lives Children and Young People survey shows that while 90% of the children for the most affluent families can swim 25 metres by years 7 to 8, that figure falls to just 53% of children with low family affluence. And it's a very similar story when it comes to the ability to self-rescue. Similarly, when looking at ethnicity, the figures reveal shocking disparities, with 80% of white children in years 7 to 8 able to swim 25 metres compared to just 50% of black children or 56% of Asian children. But it shouldn't have to be this way, because if you look at the figures for children who want to swim more or who either like or love swimming, then children from poorer backgrounds or those from ethnically diverse communities are just as keen to swim as their friends. So it's not a lack of desire accounting for the difference. I know there's been some good work, for instance, through the Inclusion 2024 project, and my honourable friend has mentioned the Black Swimming Association, but I'm very keen to hear from the Minister what is the recipe that we need for success and what assessment his department has made of the reasons for these stubborn inequalities and what practical steps are planned to address these. One of the contributing factors could be access to water facilities, as the member for Leighton and Wanstead has said. We know that hundreds of pools have been lost up and down the country since 2010, particularly due to the high cost of running them with the energy bills. But I wonder whether the Minister agrees with me that in such a situation, it's unsurprising that attainment levels across London are below the national average. My constituency, for instance, Hornsey and Wood Green, is covered by the London Borough of Haringey, which is one of the local authorities with the biggest shortages of publicly available water space. Quite a lot in the private school sector, but not enough in the publicly available water space. Just 35% of children of all ages across the borough can swim 25 metres. Even within London itself, though the discrepancies are huge, Hammersmith and Fulham, same sort of children, an area just 10 miles to the west of Haringey with no shortage of water, sees 88% of children in the borough able to swim 25 metres. Whilst in recent years there's been some welcome national funding through the National Leisure Recovery Fund and the Swimming Pool Support Fund, for which I give credit to the government, they do need to be seen in the context of falling swimming ability rates. The National Leisure Recovery Fund was much needed, but only ever a short-term sticking plaster. And the Swimming Pool Support Fund was massively oversubscribed, showing the huge level of need in the leisure sector. There's no substitute for long-term sustainable funding to deliver the network of community pools we need to provide school swimming opportunities for all children. A recent survey from the Local Government Association shows sport and leisure services remain under huge pressure, with more than half of local authorities needing to make cost savings to them this year. In 2024-25. This follows the huge pressure council budgets have been under over a number of years, as well as the increases in the costs of operating swimming pools as a result of factors such as massively increased energy prices and staffing costs, which have combined to face a real death knell for some of our swimming centres. With schools already stating that accessing a pool is often one of the challenges coming at them to deliver their school swimming programs, absolutely imperative that we make sure that all communities have access to pools. The government previously committed to publishing a national vision for facilities by the end of 2023. Could the Minister update the House on where we're at, given that we're halfway through 2024 and still haven't seen that important national vision for swimming facilities? The second point I want to make, and incredibly briefly, because I know that Mr Stringer is getting very impatient in the chair, but as a former council leader will be very sympathetic on the point about council funding. For years it's been felt from the outside, a bit like the department had kind of put school swimming and water safety on the too hard to tackle pile. So please would the Minister refresh the vision for swimming for every single child. I hope the new online reporting tool will be a big step forward, which is being introduced by the department. But lots of these online tools are all very well, but what we need is more children in the pool doing their 25 metres unaided and learning to swim so that we know that they'll be safe in this summer which is coming and we will not see any children drowning unnecessarily. Thank you very much, Mr Stringer.
Minister.
Thank you, Mr Stringer, and it's a great pleasure to see you in the chair, and I congratulate the honourable gentleman from Leighton and Wanstead for securing this important debate today, and commend him and the honourable lady from Hornsey and Wood Green, both for their contributions to this debate, but also for their wider work in the all-party parliamentary group, and also welcome, as ever, the contribution from our mutual friend from Strangford. Mr Stringer, all children should know how to swim and keep themselves safe in and around water. And schools can play a really important role in ensuring they're taught vital skills and knowledge, such as the Water Safety Code. 91% of primary schools surveyed in 2023 reported that they were providing swimming and or water safety lessons to their pupils, but we recognise that there is more to do to increase the number of children who are able to swim from the current level. Data from last academic year show, as has been alluded to, 70.5% of Year 7 children, that's in the first year of secondary school, report they can swim 25 metres unaided. The National Curriculum for Physical Education states that by the time they leave primary school, children should be able to perform safe self-rescue in a variety of different water-based environments. And this is in addition to the swimming of a minimum of 25 metres unaided and performing a range of strokes. Water safety guidance for schools published by Swim England recommends primary age pupils should be taught the Water Safety Code, beach flags and cold water shock. It also recommends pupils should be taught about survival skills such as flotation, treading water, energy conservation and how to signal for help. Secondary schools are free to organise and deliver a diverse and challenging PE curriculum that suits the needs of all their pupils. And while there's no statutory requirement on secondary schools to provide swimming and water safety lessons, the secondary PE curriculum provides clear guidance on this. It sets out that pupils should build on and embed the physical development and skills learned in key stages 1 and 2 and become more competent, confident and expert in their technique. Swimming and water safety lessons are one way of doing this, and resources are available for all key stages. Swim England recommend children in key stages 3 and 4 at secondary school have the opportunity to extend their knowledge, including through practical experience of different outdoor water environments. And annual campaign events like World Drowning Prevention Day can be a useful way to refresh and build pupils' knowledge across their time at school. Mr. Stringer, in July 2023, we published an update to the School Sport and Activity Action Plan, and this plan encourages schools to teach pupils practical swimming and water safety techniques in a pool and complement this with classroom-based lessons. We know that in this, as in other areas, schools welcome case studies from other schools and guidance how to bring to life how to embed swimming and water safety into their overall offer. In March this year, we published non-statutory guidance to support schools to enhance their PE provision and improve access to sport and physical activity. This guidance highlighted the wide range of support available from Swimming England, including the free school swimming and water safety charter that's been mentioned, that provides teachers with pupil awards, lesson plans, videos and water safety presentations. Swim England report that over 1,700 schools and lesson providers have registered with the Charter. We do recognise the importance of getting this right at an early age, and so primary schools can use their PE and sport premium funding for teacher training and top-up swimming and water safety lessons. These are additional lessons for those pupils who may not have met the national curriculum expectations after their core PE lessons. As part of the PE and sport premium conditions of grant, schools must publish the percentage of Year 6 pupils who meet the national curriculum expectations. The department announced last year that we'll be introducing a new digital PE and sport premium reporting tool, which the Honourable Lady just mentioned. It will capture detail on how schools have used their funding. This one will also require schools to input their swimming and water safety attainment data. We're piloting the digital tool this summer, where there'll be an option for schools to complete it prior to it becoming mandatory for schools to complete in academic year 24-25. Swimming and being near water can bring benefits for all children, and which is why we are supporting pupils with special educational needs and disabilities to learn to swim and learn about water safety. The Inclusion 2024 programme works with a network of lead inclusion schools across England and has developed new resources which are available to all schools in the Inclusion Hub on the Swim England website. This includes an awards programme, audit tools to facilitate discussions with pool operators, and advice on how to deliver inclusive swimming festivals. Identifying risk and managing personal safety are central to personal, social, health and economic PSHE education. And schools can use PSHE to equip pupils with the knowledge necessary to make safe and informed decisions, which is a vital part of water safety. And the PSHE Association is one of many providers that schools can choose from who have developed resources in this area. We'll also shortly be consulting on revised relationship, sex and health education statutory guidance, and those interested in this area will have an opportunity to contribute their thoughts through that process. Mr. Stringer, a pool can be a valuable asset for a school, helping to ensure access for all pupils regardless of background. And the department's Opening School Facilities programme is spending up to £57 million to help schools to open their sport facilities outside of the core school day, including weekends and holidays. As of April 2024, the programme has supported over 220 schools to open their pools to welcome more users for longer. This programme is targeted towards the least active children and young people. I feel I must, I could take a short intervention.
Catherine West.
Thank you very much for his words to date, but would he agree that the inequality point hasn't quite been answered in terms of topping up areas where it's so far behind, below 50%, below half of children being able to swim 25 metres unaided?
Well, Mr. Stringer, I mean, look, she makes a very important point about equality of access, and particularly, of course, we are very conscious of this when we're talking about safety. This is not just about sporting participation, but also about children's safety. And I do think it's important that we seek to present that opportunity to everybody. And that is what is in our ambition, is to make swimming available to everybody up to a certain standard in primary school, and that is what we will continue to do. And related to that point, I mean, we welcome efforts to find new ways to overcome barriers to provide high-quality swimming and water safety lessons, particularly for children who may have less access to swimming than others. And it's important that, obviously, that pools are safe and appropriate for the activities they provide. And the Honourable Gentleman talked about the trend in pop-up pools. And my department would be interested in hearing more about the work that their all-party parliamentary group, the discussions that they are having and indeed with Swim England in that regard. I welcome the opportunity too for the department to work alongside members of the National Water Safety Forum, in particular the RNLI, Royal National Lifeboat Institution, the Royal Life Saving Society UK and of course Swim England. The department contributes to the education subgroup by supporting the forum to understand the needs of teachers and improve the dissemination of resources and messages to schools. The education subgroup recognises the important role of water safety messaging that is age and stage appropriate for children. The group has recently published a new framework to provide a set of consistent core messages, and that will help practitioners and organisations working at local and national levels who wish to deliver and evaluate water safety resources and campaigns. The Water Safety Code is the headline message of the framework and includes key learning outcomes from early years through to Key Stage 4. Raising awareness of water safety and key messages is an important part of people understanding the dangers of water. The Department for Education is pleased to have supported the Royal Life Saving Society UK's Drowning Prevention Week over recent years. And last year, over 500,000 children took part in schools, and we will support this year's activity in June, which will focus on the Water Safety Code. Mr Stringer, I know how important swimming and water safety are for all children. Swimming can be one of many activities that foster positive well-being and can be a habit children also take into adult life. We remain committed to working in partnership with sector organisations to support schools, to provide opportunities for all pupils to learn to swim and know how to be safe in and around water.
The question is that this House has considered the provision of water safety education in schools. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. Of the contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Order, order. The sitting is suspended until 4:30 p.m.
The proceeding has ended. 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 The proceeding has ended.